Hey, free thinkers. Um, this life lesson I'm going to talk about today is poverty is a state of mind. And I'm going to tell you why poverty is a state of mind. Um, I was a relationship supervisor in my department 2 weeks ago, and we in New York we have a thing called 311 instead of 911. It's 311 where you contact 311 and they basically distribute any complaints you have to the appropriate city agency, and the city agency goes out there and see what the complaints about. So I was the late shift supervisor about a week and a half ago, and I went to this location to assist one of the inspectors from this complaint. And this was in Jamaica Estate. And for those of you who live in New York, Jamaica, Queens especially, Jamaica Estate is a very affluent area from in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, 90s, and up to now. Jamaica State has been one of those areas that you know the test of time. They have their own private sewer, their own private water. you know but I don't understand that part because some parts of the city still maintain, but that's for another story. We talk about that another story. But anyway, like my hat. All right. So anyway, the complaint, we went to the complaint assistance inspector, and this gentleman came outside and introduced himself. But I'm going to say something to you guys. I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, he was an elderly Irish gentleman, and he wanted to be known that he's Irish. Okay, and he started telling me that he grew up in the neighborhood, and Jamaica, Queens is big. It's not that small. It's big. So he was telling me that he went to the high school it went he went to was in South Ozone Park, and he told me that he had three older brothers and two sisters, two younger sisters, and his father and his mother, you know, they were married for a very long time. And he stated to me that every morning his father got up and put on a suit and went to work, but his father actually was one of the people that was maintaining Jamaica Estate, and his mother convinced his father to buy her a washer and dryer. Right? So I want to leave that right there for a second and go back to a little bit of the history. So he's telling me that his mother basically was a seamstress, which means she made clothes. So all the clothes that she made for his other three brothers was hand down to him. And back then we called them hand me down. And you know, he said he was just so happy to get his brothers clothes because he just wanted to be like his older brothers because they all went to the military. So he just wanted to be like his older brothers. And he had their clothes. So I guess we get to a certain age, and this clothes featured a certain age and this clothes. But he loved his brothers, so he just wanted to get their clothes. And he said shoes back then was real leather, where you take it to the shoemaker, put on a new sole, shined up, brand new shoes. So he said, his mother now convinced his dad to get her the washer and dryer, and his mother came around to Jamaica Estate and got the people's clothes, laundry, whatever, wash them, dry them, press them, and then put them in a bag and take it back to the people that lives in Jamaica Estate. And they did this for a very long time. So he said when he started high school, um, he was shy and an introvert, and didn't really have too many friends. But by his second year in high school, he was trying to date, and all the girls from his culture said that he was poor, and their family told him to stay away from him because his family's poor. So he said he came home one day and asked his father, why are we still living in this neighborhood, which I guess back then started to be turning out to be black, right? So he asked his father, why don't you move from this neighborhood? So his father said, what's the problem? He said, the men in this neighborhood get up and go to work every day just like me, and the wives stay home or the wives have something to do. But why would I leave this neighborhood if everybody's going out to work just like me? So he said, you know, none of the girls would date him or wanted to talk to him. They was calling him hand me down, and he was wearing his brother's hand me down and shoes, and nobody would talk to him. So he said his last year of high school, he met this young lady, and you know, wanted to date her, and she let him. She got into her ear, and she says, okay. She went on a date with him, but he basically said, growing up, he never knew what poverty was because to him, they had 3 meals a day. They had clothes, they had a roof over their head. They get to watch TV, all the latest show that was on back then. They get to watch them. He said on Sundays they went to church. After church, you would go down to Rockaway and Woodhaven, which was a movie theater. And on the way back by 116th Street and Rockaway, there was an Italian icy place that was a treat. And it's funny because that's 2025. That Italian icy place is still there. Okay, still there, still going. So he said, he took her to the movies, and then they went and got the Italian icy, and walking back to where they live, which is, I guess, a little block, they had a chance to talk, and he told her what he was going to do after high school, and she says, "Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'll ride with you." So he after high school, he did what he had to do when he got out of high school. He didn't go to college, but he made a way, and they got married, and they had 3 children, and the kids are in college. And he said, for everybody teasing him when he was young, calling him broke and poor, he said he never felt he was broke, that the family was broke. I never felt they were poor because, you know did they have money? He said he'd never know because his father had most of the latest things. Apart from him leaving in the morning with a suit on and going to go take care of Jamaica Estate, he never knew what poverty was, right? So he said, um, when he got married and had his children, now his children are in college, they're adults and they moved on, have their children, and it's him and his wife. And he said, "Oh, let me show you a picture of my wife." And he opened his phone, showed a picture of his wife. I said, "Oh, wow, she's a black woman." He says, "Yeah, she's a black woman." It's okay. Okay. He said, "What happens?" No, I just thought you was going to show me another picture. He goes, "No, this is the only person who gave me the time of day when I finished high school, and I told her that I wasn't going to college and what my plans were." Right? He said she was the biggest supporter of him, the biggest cheerleader of him, and she made sure that their children had everything while he was out there working. And I'm not talking about hustling. He was hustling, but not hustling in that sense. He was out there working to provide. So they are very well off now because he said they went from living in Queens to now living in Jamaica Estate. And if you know Jamaica Estate, them houses going for millions, not hundred thousands, but millions. So he said he always wanted to live in Jamaica Estate because he used to see his father go there every day, Saturdays and Sundays. I mean, Friday, Saturday, Monday to Saturday, and work. Sunday, church was a definite. So he just always wanted to live in Jamaica Estate because he just loved how the people there live. Now he owns a house in Jamaica Estate. And by talking to him for a little while, they're very well off, him and his wife. So the wife came outside and introduced me to her, to introduce herself to me. Lovely lady, very lovely lady. And I see why he chose her because she adores him. I mean, she just hanged on to him like he was, she just hanged on to her man, right? So after talking to him for a little bit, I found out that this man is very wealthy, very wealthy. But you couldn't tell by the way how he dressed, how he carries himself. And I'm not saying he looks shabby, but he wasn't flamboyant with what he had. And he said he used to ask his dad about, how come he doesn't buy him, the sneakers and the clothes that the other kids, black kids, were wearing. How come he didn't do it? And his father asked him, "And how's that going to improve your life? How's that going to make you better? How's it going to put you on your journey to get what you want? How's that going to do that for you?" So he said he never questioned his father, but he says looking back, that motivated him to do what he had to do to take care of his family and to live in Jamaica State right now, right? And from talking to him, this guy's very well off, okay? But it's just to show you that poverty is a mindset because all the time growing up, he never thought that him and his family were poor. Never thought they were poor. You imagine that? He never thought they were poor because to him, they had a roof over their head, they had 3 meals a day, he had clothes, and he never, and like I said, he cherished getting his brother's hand me down. So to him, going to go buy new clothes wasn't even a thing for them. Basic things is what they lived off. Going to the movies, Gonna go get Italian icy. That was their big time, the big event for them. So I want to tell this to people: never judge a book by its cover, and don't let race play into your relationship. And poverty is a state of mind, because you could take yourself out of poverty is if you're willing to do it to take yourself out of poverty. And to see this man was willing to share his story with me about where he came from and where he's at right now shows you that anybody could do it as long as you put your mind to it. Free thinkers, always think positive, because it could always take you out of poverty. Free thinkers.